Welcome to Coach's Corner, episode 33 with Justin and Ethan. I am Coach Justin.
And I am Coach Ethan.
And today on episode 33, we're going to be talking about consistency and just what it takes to push through. This is going to be less of a, hey, this is how you work out and what you should eat, and more of like a mindset thing, because I think that if we're going to be successful in anything we do, you have to have the right headspace for it. You have to be in the right place to accept that there's no quick fixes. Mm-hmm. There's no corners you can cut, and embracing this identity that you are trying to possess and understand that listen, this isn't a 6-week thing. This isn't a 12-week sprint. This is a lifestyle. This is forever. And so kind of turning this time-bound, finite thing into just a infinite process that we're going to be iterating forever anyways. So all that to say, how do we stay consistent? How do we make sure that we don't just become a statistic and, repeat this vicious cycle over and over again?
What goes on up in the head and the heart to make sure you keep doing it.
And for those of you who don't know us, Ethan and I have been fitness trainers for 20 years each. I think it's pretty much all we've ever done.
Yep. Never had another career.
Yeah. And at this point now, we both own businesses. Ethan has a gym here in Los Angeles. I have a online version of it. We both work with people constantly through weight loss, nutrition, exercise. And a lot of that is mindset. And a lot of it is just
all of it. Trying
to find the angle. How can I connect to this person so that they can be consistent?
Yep.
Right? Because everybody has a different way of hearing and receiving information. I think as a good coach, the job is to understand how this person needs to hear this age-old wisdom, but in a different way that gets to them, so they can have that moment where they go, you're right.
Let me make the decision, right? Some might need tough love. Some might need nurturing.
Yeah.
Compassion. There are a lot of angles that might actually get somebody to choose.
Shame, guilt.
Of course. So those are the most potent. That's what I start with always.
But yeah, and I think that consistency is the thing that trumps everything else, because it doesn't matter how amazing the nutrition plan is. It doesn't matter how good the workouts are.
Yep.
If you're not consistent, it doesn't matter. No. It doesn't matter. And everyone knows this conceptually. Very few of us. Conceptually, they'll agree.
They would agree, at least, for sure.
But tacit understanding. Yeah. You've actually gone through a period of your life in some form that we could transfer that skill over to your health. Right. Either you've gotten advanced degrees in college, or you've, had a successful marriage for years. You've raised, there's been elements of your life where you've shown that you can be consistent. But now it's how do we transfer that ability to your health and your fitness? Because the principles are the same. It's just now it's you instead of giving or providing for somebody else. And oftentimes it's harder to do it for ourselves than it is for other people.
And I think the thing about biology in our organism is that it's an ongoing thing. It's not like getting a degree where you get the stamp, you get the diploma, and it's technically done, and that chapter is over. Yeah, you might apply that degree to a job, and you can kind of extrapolate that. But our biology is this ever churning thing.
Yeah,
it just keeps going. Our adaptive mechanisms, how our body responds to the inputs we give it, it never stops until we pass away, basically.
Right.
And so the necessity for consistency is so important, because there is no destination. Because every destination you might achieve can just as much fall away in time, because you might get to a certain body fat percentage or achieve a certain weight on a lift or whatever. But then it's just, if you don't keep at it, it will fade away.
And I think that's a really interesting point.
Right, we just keep going.
Because, and also psychology is like that as well. Sometimes we hold on to what worked for us in our 20s, even though we're in our 40s, and life is completely different now.
Yep.
But we're still no, what worked for me before was this. And it's yeah, but dude, the game has changed.
Life has changed.
Your body is different now.
Your life is different
now. Yeah. Maybe doing 2-a-days and eating 1,000 calories worked when you were 25 and more resilient. But now at 45, you're just riddled with injuries and aches and pains, and you're overtraining yourself, and that just isn't going to work. And so to keep trying the thing that worked then instead of adapting to what will be a better fit for you now is another pitfall that keeps people from even starting, or keeps people starting and then failing and then quitting, and then starting, failing, quitting, and then this vicious cycle of yo-yos, right?
Yeah, 100%.
So yeah, it is that. It's like having a good assessment of just like, where am I at in my life right now? You know, like, and that was one of the bullet points that I wrote down for why I think that people struggle with consistency, is just not having not really being clear on what they want. Right.
That's the biggest thing. I mean,
yeah,
asking somebody to anchor on to a choice of change is always it's the why, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's that, what do you want? You have to have something that you choose to pull you forward to
mm-hmm.
keep making the efforts to make the change, basically, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like when you get clear on what you want, the path starts to reveal itself. But when you're not clear on what you want, you're just like, no, I need to like work out, you know, because like my doctor told me I need to work out, or my wife told me I need to work out. I just got to get, I just got to like eat better.
Got to get in there.
It's like, okay, like buckshot, we're pointing in the right direction, but we don't know what we want yet. So it's like, okay, well, how much do you weigh right now? Let's just say hypothetically, the subject A says 250. Okay, where do you want to be? I think 200 would be great. Okay, so we got to lose 50 pounds. Cool. And just keep peeling back the layers of the onion on like
but why do you want to be 200 would be like the real question, right? It's like, I can name that number because like that would just be, I would 50 pounds lighter, but like, why does that matter? What mm-hmm. is the real reason? Well, I'd look better, I'd feel better, I'd mm-hmm. be more attractive to my partner.
Yeah, what size suit would you be wearing at 200 pounds?
Yeah, it's like those are those layers of the onion. Because I think objectively we can all be like, oh, of course we want to be more fit, we want to have more energy, right? All these things are just like on a check box. Like, oh yeah, I'll check that box,
right?
Sure, but like where is that real personal relationship or personal understanding of what that checked box means to you, mm-hmm. and when does it become potent enough to choose? And what
would achieving this goal change in your life? Like you were saying, like relationship with your spouse, being an active dad with your kids, joining that weekend softball or volleyball or whatever league.
Less depression, less anxiety, right? Just like higher quality of life. And
mm-hmm.
and I think sometimes we don't associate those things with the changes that might come with losing weight or exercising, but those are all going to be things that fundamentally improve your quality of life.
Totally.
But you have to really start to identify with them, I think,
mm-hmm.
And something that for me, because I would say consistency is something I can struggle with. And what I would say is that like the thing for me is reminding myself that it is always a choice, that I have to choose, mm-hmm. right? You can like set your sights on something or assign a value set to losing 50 pounds or exercising more, but it's going to come down to like, you have to choose it over and over again.
Right.
You have to choose.
Like the job's never done.
The job is never done, right? Like we've talked about this in the past. It's like the whole point of our biology is just ongoing. It's like the job is never done. It is a process, not a destination.
Mm-hmm.
And so you like fundamentally have to choose the process. If you lose the 50 pounds, that's great. But that's a destination. And so like then what? Do you just stop?
Because it's going to come right back.
It's going to come right back. You're not excused from metabolic syndromes or whatever if you've lost 50 pounds at 30, but now you're 45.
Yeah.
And shit's hit the fan again. And so how can you really commit and choose to the process? And actually, just this past week, I had like a little download, a little something that came to me, and I think it kind of is the analogy of like the friction sharpens the blade.
Yeah.
Right? That the hardships in life, the struggles we go through are often the moments of growth. And they can really suck or they can really be hard. Like they're not fun. They're not fundamentally fun. They're not sitting in a hammock drinking a pina colada on a vacation. Like that just feels great. That's easy. Sitting down and watching Netflix on a Wednesday night when you've got shit to do feels good. Like everybody fucking knows it. It feels
mm-hmm.
great.
That's why they choose it.
That's why we all choose it sometimes, right? And I'm not saying to never choose those things, but that when it's that easy, there's a time and a place for the easy. Life's a balance, no doubt. But when it's that easy, for me, it was like I was given this reflection that you're not choosing the hard. And that in order to be who you really are, or who you're maybe meant to be, or your highest self, or whatever your potential is, however esoterically spiritual you want to take it, to just the brass tacks of like achieving your potential, that you have to choose the hard. The friction sharpens the blade. It's the only way. And that fundamentally, when you don't choose the hard, you're choosing to not be yourself.
Or to not be your
best
fullest self.
Because even a lack of choice is a choice, right? Even if it's an unconscious, you're not even aware, you're not making a choice. Everything's a choice when it comes down to it. I heard this idea that it's like, oh, well, I have this like habit of not cleaning my car, or I have a habit of biting my nails, or I have a habit of this, or I have a tendency. And they were basically, then like the person was saying that like those things are habits or tendencies until you're self-aware of them. And then the moment you're self-aware of them, they are now choices. And for you to continue to do them means you are continually making a choice to do them. And it is only when they are completely unconscious or completely lack of awareness that they are habits or tendencies or things that we do. But the moment that they become into the sphere of self-awareness, then they are continued choices. And now that's like fundamentally you making a choice to do X, Y, Z.
Yeah. The only thing worse than not knowing is to know and not do anything about it.
Right. It's like some people's definition of hell.
Yeah. And everyone knows what they should do, but they make the choice to meander or avoid the hard work because it's like.
But why? Why do you think people do it? Like, why
I think it's just. I think
like
it's. Well, I have a theory. I think that it's ego in a lot of ways. I think that to struggle is to be vulnerable. Is to put yourself in a state of temporary weakness because you're struggling. Right. And people around you will see that. They can sense when you're frazzled. And we have this like protective barrier around us called our ego that we don't want to appear. We want to appear like we have it all figured out. We want to appear strong and confident and put together. And so it's almost easier to avoid things that will potentially cause us discomfort and short-term duress and just only focus on the bandwidth to which we've mastered the path of least resistance.
Right.
Because that's AKA our comfort zone.
The comfort zone.
Right. Yeah. But to like increase our bandwidth and to take on more things and to grow and to learn means you have to go through a learning curve. You have to tolerate a degree of frustration in order to acquire a skill. And that degree of frustration required to acquire a skill is where most people stop because they don't like to feel uncomfortable.
Well,
it's the ego keeping you stuck in your comfort zone and not wanting you to expand and grow because it's scary and dangerous out there.
Yeah.
And it's better to just stay right here where you know that everything's going to be okay.
Yeah. And, it's interesting. I read this, a book about how thoughts are what cause suffering. And it was kind of like a shorthand it was very much based in like Buddhist philosophy and kind of was like a shorthand it included some other things, but there's this idea in general, not just from Buddhism, but like there's the outside world, there's what happens to you, and then there's the reaction. And we can't choose what happens to us, but that there's this idea that we can choose our reception, right? It's kind of, there's often this languaging of like react versus response, which I know we've talked about, I think in our habit episode was kind of part of it, right? And so, you can't help if you miss the bus or have a flat tire or get into a fight necessarily, but like how you respond or react to that is the thing that you can start to temper and have control. And it was basically this story about this monk that was getting frustrated all the time trying to meditate, and everybody was causing noises or whatever, and he kept getting frustrated and I can't find peace. I can't find the still, everybody else is doing this. They're chanting. There's this, the clanging pots or whatever. And basically it came down to this analogy of there are two arrows in life. There's the physical arrow which you cannot avoid. And then the secondary is the emotional arrow, which you have a choice of getting struck with or not. And the emotional arrow always hurts worse than the physical arrow, right? And so, look, I'm not saying it's an easy thing, but that fundamentally, the idea that you can avoid the hardships in life is just bullshit. It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
You're going to have to do the dishes.
Yeah.
You're going to have to wake up early. Your kid's going to get sick. Your dog's going to get sick.
Like the next emergency is around the corner.
You're going to break your ankle by
It's on its
slipping
way.
accidentally.
Yeah.
I just fucking blew my radiator trying to go on a camping trip. Shit's going to happen. That's the physical arrow. You can't avoid those things. But your reaction to it is the emotional arrow. And that's always going to cause more suffering, so to speak, than the physical arrow. And I think there's so much resistance to that first arrow in the sense that, like, life is just uncomfortable sometimes. It's just uncomfortable. It's going to be hard. You have to, and then it's this flip of, like, you have to, like, face the music or put your face in the wind and, like, choose the hard because it's an inevitable thing, whether it's a circumstance that happens to you or you having to, like, make a decision on your diet or you having to save money or you having to have a difficult conversation with your spouse or your partner. It's like you can't avoid the hard. So changing your relationship with it is fundamentally the thing. And I think, like, the reason for me when I think about the consistency is that when I weaken or I get knocked off my tracks, it's like it's hard to choose the hard, right? Because life's hard, right? I don't want to do the things anymore that are hard. And it's hard for me to make the choice to embrace the difficulty. And I find that when I lack in my consistency, it's because I fall back into this avoidant mentality where I'm like, I don't want to do the hard things. But even though I can't escape him.
Well, and also, so inevitably something is coming the pipeline for you that's going to be difficult, right? We all have the next XYZ crisis around the corner. Like, no one gets out unscathed. No one makes it out alive, and no one gets out unscathed.
Right.
So by choosing to expose yourself voluntarily to difficult things, prepares you and thickens your skin a bit for when the inevitable life crisis happens. Because if all you ever do is pad your existence with, comfort and avoid hard things like getting up early and doing workouts and not just eating whatever you want when you want, but actually, like, practicing restraint with your thing. And, like, like when the inevitable flat tire, blown radiator, have to put your dog down, have to have a hard conversation comes, you've constructed a life and a personality that's suited for difficulty because you've voluntarily exposed yourself to things that are hard that have made you grow and have now prepared you for life's inevitabilities. Because if we avoid all of that, then you're kind of fragile. And then when the thing happens, you crumble.
And
it's
it could
too
be
much.
easy as, like, going on vacation for a weekend. I mean, how many people, because since we're, technically talking about consistency in terms of healthy lifestyle, it's like, people go on vacation and it derails them and it's hard to get back.
Yeah.
You've had that comfortable, cushy week.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden,
I just want to keep eating and drinking.
Yeah, I gotta literally, I just want to keep ordering out.
Wait,
I
don't. Why can't I just keep eating and drinking?
Yeah,
it's like you gotta stop now.
You gotta stop. It goes
It's
back
time to get back to work.
Yeah, and so I think it is, and then so it's, and I think in that sense of, like, it does go back to kind of what you were saying before of, like, having that why or a reason, because understanding it's a process that's never going to end means you have to get knocked off. Like, you're going to get knocked off the horse, whether it's a vacation and got lazy or something more serious happens, or you just had a very hard day at work and you're super stressed and, like, you want to go for a drink or you want to just, like, eat whatever the fuck you want to eat because it's comforting. And to have that anchor in place that keeps you choosing the process, which is difficult. The process is difficult. That's it. There's no
Totally.
And look, I'm sure there are people that say, well, you just got to choose your bliss. and life will just unfold for you. And I'm sure maybe some people get that, but I think the real reality of it is that the path of ascension in your personal life is going to be attaching yourself to the process and understanding that process is going to be difficult.
Because whatever you think, like whatever, okay, let me put it this way. The things that you said you needed to be happy, you've already achieved and you're still not happy.
Yes.
So it's this infinite spiral staircase where whatever milestone or goal you think you need to achieve in order to finally have happiness in your life, you will achieve it and you still won't be happy.
Right.
And that's not like trying to be cynical. It's just human nature. Like, oh, if I could just, meet the right girl. You meet the right girl, but now it's the other issue. Now, if I could just make, a couple $1,000s more a month, well, then you do that, but then then you're still not there. And so it's like understanding that the job is never done, and whatever physical or financial goal or relationship goal that you set for yourself, that's okay. I think that's important. And in fact, people who set goals and write them down and review them consistently are 60% on average more likely to achieve those goals. This is why writing your stuff down is so powerful. It just reaffirms it, and it keeps your mind organized and focused on putting that puzzle together for you every day through people, places, and things. But understand that once you achieve the goal, you make the $1 million, you meet the trophy husband or wife, you do all the things that you said you want to do, there's going to be the next thing that you want. And that's okay, because then that's just the endless pursuit of life. And so I think it's just like consistency can just kind of be boiled down to embracing that the job will never be done, and that our job is to just put a goal out that feels like it's right at the edge of our current capacity.
I was just saying capacity.
So like what's the edge of our current capacity? Where we're at right now, because like we were saying earlier in the episode, just because you could do 2 a days and just take a handful of vitamins and not eat food in your 20s doesn't mean you can do it in your 40s anymore. Right. So like right now in the context of your life, like what's a goal that's chunky but still achievable at the edge of your capacity? That's just pushing the envelope just a little bit, but not taking on too much where you're going to blow up in your face, but just at the edge. And we work towards that goal. Reverse engineer it. What are the steps now? Month, weeks, days. What are the steps? Okay, you'll get there. And then it's not like, okay, great, mission accomplished, go back to the old ways, because there's no going back. But it's, okay, now what's the next goal at the edge of that capacity? And that's it. And that's life. And then, eventually it's all over and the gig's up, and we hand everything that we've achieved in life, we hand it back. We give our final salute, and then the next generation does it. But that's it. And I think it's like when you just understand your mortality and understand that like in 3 generations, no one's even going to remember your name.
Yeah, you're
I don't remember my great grandparents' names.
No
one does.
Yeah.
So it's like it's all just for funs. So we just
it's all for funsies.
It is. We just achieve. We do good. We kind of just keep pushing ourselves to see just what we can accomplish. For some people, that might feel nihilistic. Oh well, what's the point? Forget it all. Then I might as well just
why even get out of bed?
Drink every day on vacation. But for others, it's like it almost like it's freeing, because I don't give a fuck what my friend in high school thinks about my Instagram posts. Like I'm not doing it for the haters. I'm doing it for the people that could get inspiration. And it's almost like when you just let go of the pressure, or like you just kind of get that perspective of it doesn't matter. And we get to create our reality. We get to create our own life. Then we can have a little bit more fun, enjoy the process a little bit more, and then I think that might help with consistency.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, well, it's you. I was gonna say. So, what do you think are some things that can help people stay consistent? I think you named one about writing down goals.
Yeah, I think fully understanding the thing that you're trying to be consistent with. So I think like the wrong analysis on the goal that you have can create immense frustration, which will lead to you quitting. So like if you have financial goals, but you don't understand finances, and you get really triggered with your finances, but you're like, no, but this person said this and this person, and you're just getting all this, and you just don't fundamentally understand it, then you're going to go down a rabbit hole that's going to lead to nowhere, and you might even lose money because you decided you wanted to throw it all on crypto, and then crypto tanks.
Bitcoin.
You're like, fuck, that was so dumb.
Yeah.
You know, so I think like fully understanding things, like case in point, I just had a call with one of our clients, and she's like, I'm just frustrated that I'm overwhelmed, and I'm frustrated that I'm not seeing results faster. I was like, okay, let me look up your account. So you've lost 8 pounds. You've been with us for 8 weeks, right? She's like, yes. I just can't believe I haven't lost more. And I'm like,
a pound a week. That's pretty good.
I'm like, okay, just so you know, we have you in a 500 calorie a day deficit. That's your goal, and you're doing great. So 500 times 7 is 3,500, right? She's like, yes. Do you know how many calories in a pound of fat? She's like, no. I was like, 3,500. So we have you on a 500 calorie deficit a day goal because she's in her 50s. She's a woman. She doesn't have a ton of muscle, so her metabolism just isn't high.
Just have, that's
so anything more than 500 calories would be like very low.
Waste her away.
So this is about as steep of a deficit as we feel is safe and appropriate. And based off of that deficit, your trajectory is give or take a pound of fat loss per week,
which is pretty good.
Which is solid.
I mean, that's
so
great.
If you're with us for 26 weeks, that's 26 pounds. You know, I was like, this might be hard to hear, but would you believe me if I told you that you're actually right on track?
Yeah.
And she's like, what? I'm like, yeah, you're 100% on track.
Right.
How much weight do you have to lose? She's like, 20 pounds. I was like, well, you're 40% of the way there.
You're almost halfway there. Yeah. Are you kidding me?
I was like, what more do you want? And I had this, I had to just give her the big picture. I'm like, so I think being clear on the specifics of your goal is super important, because in her mind, she was failing, and she would have likely quit had we not had that intervention call. But it's like, understand the milestones we're trying to reach here. Like,
right.
This is not, and so I think that to be consistent, it's like if you tell yourself that you need to lose, if you tell yourself that you need to work out 4 times a week because that's what you read is what you need to do.
It's optimal.
And you can only ever do 2 a week. And you just keep beating yourself up because you think you're a failure.
Because you just can't find
I'm such a failure. I can only do 2 a week. And then you quit because you didn't understand that had a different coach come in there and been like, hey, you know what? You seem pretty busy. You're raising a family. You work full time. Let's just start with 1 or 2 workouts a week and a little walk every day. And then once we can nail that, we can bump it up. And so if I only ever assign that same person 2 workouts a week, and then she was crushing 2 a week, she would feel like a success. But what changed other than her perception of it? Nothing.
Right.
And so it's just having the right information so you can make decisions you can make informed decisions from data because you have the right information, versus just getting spun up in your head or getting just confused and conflicting information from different people. I think that's probably one of the biggest things. It's just understand what you're trying to do and understand what a realistic time frame is.
Have a good plan, like a proper plan.
Totally.
Because then if you're at least off the plan, and if the plan is clear, it's easy to know what you have to do to get back on the plan.
Right.
And
I think there's something to say for being flexible with your habits and your routines. I think always do your best to never break the chain of habit. So if you're feeling achy and tired, instead of skipping the workout, what if you just brought everything down to half of the weight, half the reps, but you still
do yoga instead.
But you still showed up at the time that you blocked off for a workout, and even if it was just stretching, but you kept showing up at the time that you said you would for yourself.
Right.
And instead of just being I'm just gonna take a me day. And it's because then all of a sudden you shift your inertia to that. The inertia shifts to now not participating, not showing up, not being consistent.
It's the object in motion, stage in motion, right?
But so many people have this all or nothing, where it's well, if I can't do the 5 sets of this and then the circuit of that, then why would I work out? Well, it's not a binary, it's a continuum. So just dial that down from an 8 down to a 2, just so you can mentally embrace the thing you need to do, show it for yourself, get that dopamine hit that you did it, feel accomplished. That way you keep the chain of habit alive, and you would dial back the intensity and volume, but the task
doing something,
completion,
just trying to keep it. I mean, even just the other day, earlier this week, I was just not in the mood for the exercise. I was just not there, and I was on the razor's edge of just not doing it. I was just like, I'm just not going to do it. Like, it's fine. It's fine. No big deal. Just one day. Not going to do it. It just, for whatever reason, it just wasn't happening for me. And I decided to do 2 shoulder warm-up exercises and 3 sets of push-ups and 3 sets of body weight rows on the TRX.
You had to trick yourself.
I was just like, look, dude, I was like, you got, like, this is going to take you 6 minutes?
Yeah, right.
Like, literally 6 minutes. I was like, you have 6 minutes. Like, you have 6 fucking minutes.
Oh,
6
yeah.
fucking minutes.
Because you probably spent more than 6 minutes talking yourself out of it.
100%. And I didn't have it in me that day to go rip it up. I just didn't. That just was the plain truth of, like, maybe I could have forced myself, and it maybe would have been better than the 6 minute thing I did. But it was either going to be nothing or just the ultimate compromise of the most fucking bare minimum thing I could do.
Yep.
But the bottom line is I did something.
Yeah.
I kept my little pinky toe in the door at least for that day. And I rocked it out, and it literally took me probably like 6 minutes. I mean, I didn't time it, but it was over so quick that I was almost like, oh, maybe I could do more. But I was hungry, and I needed to eat lunch. And you know what? Then I ate my lunch. And that was that. But it was such a struggle, and it was such a battle, and it was such a human moment. But I did something. I did something. And I had that littlest of a victory, even if I knew I could have done so much more, even if it was all just me being a little bitch that day. Whatever angle I could have took, I knew I just at least did something. I had some form of momentum. I had something that I accomplished. I had the little success, the tiniest little success.
Yeah, think about it. Like, let's say the average person's going to work out 3 times a week. So that's 150 workouts a year. So in 10 years, that's 1,500 workouts, right? It's unreasonable to think that when you expand the time horizon by that much, that you're going to be able to just show up and crush every one of those.
Right, you're going to just
it's unrealistic. You're just going to come in and just slash every workout. It's like it's going to ebb and it's going to flow, and you can't. It's unreasonable for you to measure success by performance on that long of a time horizon. You measure success by, did you show up or did you not show up?
Right. Did you do
That's how you measure success over a 20, 30-year horizon.
Did you honor the process?
Like our podcast here, is every episode going to be a banger? Well, no, because let's say we do this for 10 years and we have thousands of episodes. There's probably going to be some that are bad.
It's flat.
But we don't just not do it. We do it to our best in that moment. And that's kind of the mindset you have to have with exercise and anything that you have avoidance around or you feel resistance towards doing. Just give yourself permission to just do the minimum effective dose, to just continue to create that chain of habit that becomes so unbreakable over time due to just your consistency with it, that it's not about intensity, volume, and quality
or the bullseye every time.
Yeah, it's about just getting up there and just doing what you can in that moment. And I think that's a growth mindset.
Yeah.
That's a growth mindset, not a fixed mindset where if you can't do it perfect, then you might as well not even do it.
Right, and if you can consistently just show up to do something, then next thing you know, you've honored the process and time will go by and you'd be amazed.
Yeah. There you go. All right.
Yeah, I guess that's
episode 33.
Shazam.
Boom. Coach's Corner, Justin, Ethan. We will check you all next time.
Peace.
Peace out, everybody.